I've just reached the mini milestone of 300 guitar gear videos on this channel. That's 300 videos about electric guitars, acoustic guitars, guitar pedals, amps, interviews with industry people, and so on and so on. And well, I've had a lot of gear come through my hands in that time. Now a year ago, almost exactly a year ago in fact, I reached the other milestone of 250 videos. And when I got there, I actually counted down kind of my top 5 bits of gear that I've tried so far. And I'll link to that video if you'd like to see that elsewhere. But since then, in the 12 months that have come, well, there's been a lot of great gear that has come through Richword's Music Towers, and I think some of them have got really close to usurping some of my previous top 5. So what I quickly wanted to do with this video is go through a small roundup of maybe the 10 best pieces that I've tried over the past year or so, and let's see if any of the last 50 odd have managed to make it into my top 5 overall. Just to recap on the original top 5 then, and this is not in a 1 to 5 order, this is just a top 5. Well, the first one would be the pair of PJD guitars that I bought with my own money after doing reviews. That's the St. John Standard and the Carey Apprentice Standard, both amazing UK built guitars. Then there's going to be the Tone X1 by IK Multimedia, that fantastic new foray for me into the world of digital modelling and so on. Then came the Ibanez AZ Standard. We've got an HSS and an HH model, fantastic modern Strat type guitars. Then the number 4 one is going to be actually a much older pedal than my channel, but I acquired it during that time. It's the Greer Lightspeed, the transparent overdrive pedal that's in pretty much every single one of my gear review videos. And the 5th one was another newish HSS guitar, a very affordable one, the Harley Benton ST Modern. For under 200 euros, that is an absolutely wonderful guitar, and it really earned its place in my top 5. So that's 5 awesome pieces of gear, and it is going to be very hard to unseat them in my top 5 so far, but let's see if anything from the past year managed it. And it has been a really great year, and I don't necessarily mean in the kind of hype way. You know, there have been things like the Line 6 Helix Stadium that have come through, immensely popular modelling and plug-in stuff, but on my channel we tend to do things a bit more old school, lots of analog drive pedals and fuzz pedals and so on, and we do a lot of off the beaten track stuff as well, so I'm not necessarily getting all the latest, greatest, most popular guitars, but we'll get some things that some of you might not have heard of as well. So hopefully you'll learn something new in this video. And I should mention that full and detailed videos of all of the gear featured here are going to be elsewhere on my channel, so there's going to be links in the description if you'd like to watch those later. But let's go through kind of the 10 best pieces of gear that I've tried in the past year and see if any of them take their place in my top 5. Now the first one would be an exquisite Telecaster style from Paoletti guitars. That's the Nancy Loft SP90. This is a superlative guitar in every way, and every step of the build process you can see that this is just a wonderful, wonderful instrument. And it is kind of a bucket list thing, and I did say in that video at some point I will own a Paoletti guitar, if of course budgets allow for that kind of thing. However, I can't quite place this one specifically into my top 5 bits of gear, firstly because of the price, and secondly because, well, if I was speccing my own Paoletti, I would spec it just slightly differently, and hopefully in the future you'll see me speccing my perfect Paoletti guitar of my dreams. So that's a wonderful instrument in every single way, but it doesn't quite make it into my top 5. Next, I did actually manage to get one of the very, very popular digital modelling solutions last year, and that was the Sonicake Pocket Master. This is a super cheap device. It's $65, or it was when I filmed the original video, so very much an affordable thing that I'm guessing anyone here could buy without a second thought, and it offers so much. It's an all-round modelling solution. You can use it with headphones, you can use it as an audio interface, you can use it to make amps and pedals and all sorts of different sounds. It has an IR loader too, so it basically will do anything you would need. And in my opinion, the quality of the tones on offer and the different sounds you can make, it basically offers everything you could want. And I said in the original video, if I'd had this when I was a kid first starting to learn to play, well, I would be a very different guitar player now. However, I don't think I can quite squeeze this into my top 5 either, because it would have to unseat the Tone X1 in that sort of a position. And the Tone X1 is just for me a step above, because the sounds and the feel of the Tone X1 are slightly more convincing than that of the Pocket Master. That said, if I was doing a sub $100 top 5, well, the Pocket Master is absolutely in there with gusto, because it is an absolutely wonderful thing. And who knows, I do keep playing that, I take it on the road with me a lot, I take it to hotel rooms with me too, and it might make it into the top 5 at some point if I just keep on playing it and playing it and playing it. So that's a great thing that I highly recommend. Not quite in my top 5 yet though, but come back in a couple of years and you never know, it might make it in. Third on the list is the Electro Harmonix Bender Royale Mark III fuzz pedal, and this came out with so little launch fanfare that I almost thought they'd released it by mistake. I saw it by coincidence online somewhere, went out and bought one because you guys know I love my fuzz pedals and I love my tone bender pedals, and well, it is a wonderful modern take on the tone bender. It's incredibly versatile, very, very mean sounding, and it would deserve its place on any board, no problem. However, I would still say that I prefer my JHS Bender fuzz over it, and for that reason it can't quite make it into my top 5 either. But if you're looking for a great modern take on the tone bender fuzz and you're looking slightly off the beaten track, well, the Bender Royale Mark III is going to be a wonderful option to try, that's for sure. Next on the list is the first of 3 Ibanez guitars that are on this list actually, so that's a little teaser for you, and this one comes in the shape of the beautiful double cutaway AR625FMSP. Now I love the Artist series by Ibanez, I think they're incredibly underrated, and at the moment I'm kind of looking at early 80s Ibanez models, and the Artist models that came out at that time were and still are fantastic vintage buys and still relatively reasonably priced as well. But for 2026 we got a new version, and the AR625FMSP is simply a brilliant guitar. For under €1,000 or $1,000 you can get so many tones out of this thing. I think it's incredibly ergonomic, it looks beautiful as well, and in terms of tones there are so many on tap. You've got a pair of Ibanez's iconic Super 80 Flying Fingers humbucking pickups, but you can split the humbuckers down to single coils, or you can run them in parallel or serial mode, and you can do that to each of the 2 humbuckers individually. So there are so many different tones on tap that this guitar really is a Swiss Army knife of any type of tone that you could ever want. Now I had to send this guitar back to Ibanez Germany, but I very much kicked and screamed while doing it. I definitely would like to get one of those guitars back into my arsenal again to play it more, and I would not be surprised if at some point this manages to scrape its way into my top 5. But if it does do that, which of the other guitars is it going to be unseating from my top 5? That's the tough question. Could I replace the €179 Harley Benton ST Modern with the AR625? I don't really think so, so it might have to take the place of the 2 PJDs, and that's another fight in itself. So that's something I'm going to be looking at later on when I get another version of the AR625. So watch this space when it comes to that one. Now next in the list is a wonderful overdrive pedal that's not new at all, but it was new to me over the past couple of years. It's the Mad Professor Royal Blue Overdrive. I got to test this at a 42 Gear Street show, then the guys from Mad Professor sent one to me to do my thing with it, and this is a fantastic overdrive pedal. Definitely a sleeper pedal. It's been out for a couple of decades, but I don't know anyone in my own personal circle who's owned one or had one on their own boards really. So this is definitely a pedal that I want to bring more attention to because it can do so many different things. It's a brilliant transparent overdrive, so it does the Greer Lightspeed thing very well, it does the Timmy thing very well, but it's got a lot more oomph on tap as well, so it's wonderful for classic rock and hard rock stuff too. Now, does it unseat the Greer Lightspeed from my top 5? Not yet, it doesn't, so it's not quite going to make it, but I highly recommend the Royal Blue Overdrive if you ever get the chance, and try out the hand-wired version if you ever get the chance too, because that has top-mounted jacks as well, which I think is a great thing if you can get it. Next in the list we have the second of the Ibanez models that came out in early 2026, and this is another one where I just love this guitar and everything about it, and it's the Ibanez Iceman with the maple fingerboard. Now back in 2024 Ibanez brought out a new affordable Iceman model for about €600 or €700 or dollars. I got the blue version, as you guys knew I would, and that is a great guitar all round, but there's a couple of things I would have changed about it. Primarily I would have wanted to give it a satin neck as opposed to a polyfinished neck, and that's what Ibanez have fixed with this new 2026 maple fingerboard version. It has a super low gloss finish, which is effectively a satin finish. It almost feels like nitro, and it is just such a fantastic playing guitar, and it makes me feel pretty cool when I pick it up and start to play it. Again, can I squeeze this one into my top 5? Not quite. But again, highly recommend this guitar if you've never tried an Iceman before, or if you just want to try something a little bit different. And then we come to the Henry's Snake 2, and this is the newest version of their fantastic affordable HSS Strat type guitar. We've had upgrades from the original Snake. We have a coil split on the bridge humbucker now. We have a nitro finish here, a beautiful rosewood board, stainless steel frets, and so on and so on. Comes in a great gig bag, and this is simply a wonderful all-round guitar that you can play any kind of music with. And again, we're coming coming very close to replacing something in my top 5 here, and the obvious candidate is going to be the Ibanez AZ Standard. I'm going to shoot those two guitars out on my channel very soon, so stick around for that if you'd like to watch that. Sub to me if you haven't already. But the Henry's Snake 2 is very, very close to being in my top 5 as well, but as of yet, it hasn't quite made it. Let's see how things pan out in 2026 and beyond. Then we come to the Crazy Tube Circuit's Heatseeker Overdrive pedal, and this is effectively 3 Marshall pedals in a box. You get a JTM 45, a 1959 Super Lead, and a pretty sweet and pretty high gain JCM 800 as well, alongside a second boost circuit which is modelled after the Schaffer replica that Angus Young used, hence the name Heatseeker, I suppose. So this is a very, very versatile pedal. You get 3 amazing Marshall recreations, all analog of course. You get the fantastic wall of sound option that really makes it sound like a whole stack, and this pedal is just brilliant. It's become my go-to whenever I need to make the clean channel on my Hughes & Kettner Black Spirit 200 sound like a cooking Marshall, no matter whether I need low, medium or high gain stuff. It just works, and actually the best thing I can say about it is the fact that it's replaced my previous go-to Marshall pedal for videos, which was the Marshall, yes, the Marshall itself, 1959 Super Lead pedal. I actually prefer the performance and the tones of the Heatseeker to that. So it's a great, great pedal, and well, if I had a top 6 it would be in it, but I have a top 5 and I don't know yet if it can replace the Greer Lightspeed. It doesn't do that transparent overdrive thing that I love so much in the same way, but as a partner to the Lightspeed, it's been a consistent pedal on my board in the last few months since I've had it, and I can see it staying there. And if I had a top 6, like I said, or a top 10, it would most definitely be in there. If you're looking for a Marshall in a box, well, try a Heatseeker out, put it on your shortlist, and you never know, it might be the one for you. And next we come to the Yamaha Pacifica SC Standard Plus, Yamaha's take on the sub $1,000 Telecaster. And this is a fantastic modern feeling, modern sounding and modern playing telly, if that's the kind of thing that you're looking for. I'll be shooting this one out against my favourite 2014 Fender Telecaster at some point, so stick around for that if you'd like to see that. But the Pacifica SC Standard Plus is simply a great instrument to get your hands on. You've got brilliant Rupert Neve designed pickups, and the single coil Telecaster type bridge pickup can be boosted using the focus switch to give you humbucker tones as well. You've got a humbucker in the neck, it provides so many different tones. The neck itself is supremely playable too, and well, it just is a great guitar all round. Does this replace anything in my top 5? I'm not quite sure, but again, it's knocking on the door of those PJDs and getting really, really close. And finally, from my top 10, well, we have a guitar that I've now featured twice this year. It's the third and final Ibanez in the top 10 sort of roundup from the past 12 months, and it's the Ibanez AS7328 Baritone electric guitar. Again, if I had a top 6, this one would definitely be in it, and this one is coming dangerously close to usurping something from the top 5. The question here is, how can I stick a baritone into my top 5? Because it is a very niche thing. I don't have huge amounts of experience with it, but ever since I tried this guitar at Henning Pauli's house for the first time, and since I had it here on loan as well to play it in a bit more detail, well, I love everything about it, and I play it more than any of my standard tuned to E electric guitars. There's just something amazingly different about a baritone that really inspires me as a player personally, and I love the design features and the specs that we've got with the AS7328 as well. I am 100% going to be acquiring one of those with my own money at some point, unless Ibanez would like to give me one, of course, and well, you'll be seeing it a lot more on this channel in future. But it is something that has inspired me so much that it is very, very close to being in my top 5. And well, come back in a year or so and it may well be in there. So you can see from this fairly quick roundup then that the last year has been a great year for new gear. At least for me it has. What was your favourite out of these 10? Let me know in the comments what you guys think, as ever, and we'll get a bit of a discussion going. But all of these were simply fantastic choices, and it didn't end there either. There were some other great options that I've tried in the past 12 months that also almost made it into this shortlist to replace my top 5 from the 4. I mean, I played some fantastic drive pedals this year. We had the Tone City Golden Plexi 3. That is a wonderful take on a Marshall in a box as well, and so affordable. We had the Mad Professor Cymbal Mark II. That is a great Dumble style of pedal as well. We had the Tone City Double Durple, another wonderful low to medium gain double overdrive pedal as well. So another great set of options there. We also had the Ibanez AZS2209. That's not brand new, but I got to play one for the first time last year, and that is similarly to something like the Paoletti or the Yamaha Pacifica SC Standard Plus, a wonderful modern take on the Telecaster with its own unique DNA as well. That's a great guitar too. Sadly discontinued, I think, these days, but wonderful if you can ever get your hands on one. And down at the other end of the Telecaster type price scale, this year I got to try the frankly great Jet Guitars JT350. Super affordable, great specs, great pickups, great tones, great playability, a lovely neck on that guitar as well, and it's got modern playability and sensibilities matched with a really timeless vintage aesthetic. So if you've got sub $500 to spend, well, the Jet is always going to be worth a look. Finally, in terms of guitars, I got to try the Camo Liverpool Standard this year. This is made in Germany to superlative standards throughout, but like the Paoletti, in order to get this into my top 5 and a keeper, what I would probably do is spec something just a little bit different in terms of the looks, in terms of the pickups, and so on and so on. And of course this year I also got to try out the fabulous Nobles Mod Mini. This came after their Chorus Mini and their Delay Mini, and hopefully there's going to be a Reverb Mini coming at some point, but the Mod Mini is a great pedal as well, especially if you love your univibes and your phasers and so on. Goes a bit crazy, but that is a great option, and Nobles are doing great stuff with their family of mini pedals. Don't forget, of course, the wonderful OD Mini 2 is an option as well if you love your overdrives as well. And finally, I wanted to give a shout out to the Universal Audio Paradise Guitar Studio plugin. As you guys probably know if you watch my channel, I'm not the world's biggest digital or plugins sort of expert, but I really enjoyed the Paradise Guitar Studio as soon as I tried it. It sounds great, it feels great, it has a really nice simple user interface, and it's something that I do want to get more into over the coming months. So there you go. I consider myself extremely fortunate that I've been able to try so many bits of cool gear over the past year again. Like I said, none of it's quite cemented its way into my top 5 yet, but some things are getting very, very close. And if I had to pick one piece of gear that I've tried over the past 12 months that is really on the cusp of getting in, well, that one piece of gear would be the Ibanez Baritone, the AS7328. I've really fallen in love with that guitar, and if you haven't watched my videos about that one, well, they'll be linked elsewhere so you can watch those later. It's such a different thing. If you've never tried a baritone, really highly recommend that you try one. But again, please leave me your thoughts and comments down there. What's been the favorite bit of gear that you've seen me playing over the past year? And do you think that any of them could or should replace the old favorites in my previous top 5? Would love to hear what you folks think. As ever, give me a like and a sub if you're still here, because there's plenty more gear videos to come over the next few months and hopefully years as well. But that's been it for today. I've been Rich, and I'll see you for the next 300 videos. Bye for now.